Welcome, everyone. I would like to start with a quite dangerous question for you. Uh, did you have in your life a teacher who you just simply uh, didn't didn't like? Please raise your hand. So, okay, quite a few, quite interesting already. Uh, Another question: are here any teachers, lecturers, educators, supervisors, mentors in this room? Please raise your hands. So I got even more danger question dedicated just for you. Did you, in your educational practice, get the student, a class, a teaching event, when you just simply thought, it's not as great as I imagined that it could be? Please raise your hands up. And I'm the first who gonna raise the hands too. So we already found the one thing which the students and the teachers have in common. We both struggle a little bit from time to time. So when we are talking about the education, we are very often starting to talk about the technology, about the curriculum, about the assessment, about the methods, nowadays about the AI, about the programs, etc., etc. But maybe we should just simply start with the very simple, simple thing that education is a human experience. It's very often tough experience, but it's human before it starts to be technical. And yes, we are talking about all of those technical aspects about the curriculum, the assessments, the grades, the rankings, etc., etc. Because it's all matter. It's all very important. But we always need to remember that in the education, there is a one person who is trying to teach, and there is another person who is trying to learn. So we always need to think about this human part of the educational process. And the question is, if the students and the teachers perceive the efficient education in the same way? And it's a very important question. And my argument is that the good teaching simply lives in the gap, in the gap between the intention and understanding. My background is quite unique. I got my PhD in the field of quantum physics, quantum engineering, and after that I moved into the neuroscience, biology, looking into the brain of the living animals using microscopic methods for that. So I got the pleasure to work in the multidisciplinary environment, and what I learned in that place is that the people are using absolutely different languages, absolutely different words to describe the same things, very often fundamentals. And the second very important thing related with that fact is that being correct doesn't mean at all that you could be correctly understand. Correct doesn't mean understood. So first, I would like to start from the point of view of the teacher. What the teacher treat as effective education. Teachers very often have to operate on the structure of the lecture, on the structure of the assessment, on the structure of the practical part. This is helping us to get into the standards. The standards are very important. Education without standards doesn't exist. We need to have the standards to check the progression of the students, if the people are getting forward with what they are doing. Teachers are spending hours to create the lectures, which are just simply following the proper logical order. Teachers are spending a lot of time to design the assessments, which are not only checking if the students are learning by heart, but to check if the students really understand the topic. Teachers are very often challenging the students. They would like to force them to struggle a little bit to get the knowledge. because this is one of the best way how you can get the output from your students. But even with the best intention to teach, it's absolutely doesn't mean that the people is gonna understand you and they're gonna follow you. So what about the students perspective? The students, when they're talking about the effective teaching, they are very often talking about the clarity, the examples, the relevance, feedback, the confidence. But if the student is asking for the clarity, it doesn't mean that the student is asking for the lower standards. If the student is asking for example, it doesn't mean that it's rejecting the theory. If the student is asking for more feedback, it doesn't mean that it's the feedback which you gave them, it's not efficient enough. With teaching, we always get those two positions. Someone who is trying to spread the knowledge and someone who is trying to learn. And very often, the people who are responsible for teaching, they're forgetting how difficult it is to understand of what they're talking about in the rocky level, in the basic level. We need to adjust our expectation from the group. We need to ask them for continuous feedback. We need to ask them simply to check if they are feeling that they belong in the topic, belong in the classroom. We need to ask them for support, not only expect that we will give the support for them. The problem with the education is that we are very often using the same words, but that words can have absolutely different meanings. What does it mean? When the teacher is telling about the feedback, the teacher typically would like to follow the standards and put as many details as only they can, which will fulfill with the criteria of some sort of very often strange forms, which we need to fill with. But what the students are expecting when we are thinking about the feedback, they're expecting to get the guidance. They're expecting to get some sort of clue what to do next. They are not interested in the numbers, comparing them to the previous classes. They are very interesting of the next steps. Similar with the fairness. From the teacher point of view, the fairness is just simply treating everyone equal. But from the student's point of view, they would like to be seen. They would like to be seen as individuals, as people who are coming from the different backgrounds, who are very often not speaking in the language when the lecture is given. The people who doesn't have a efficient background, the basic knowledge in that field very often, and they still need to study the specific course. Engagement, participation. In terms of the engagement, the teacher would like to have people who are raising the hands up, answering the question, very often asking the question. But for the students, it's more about the relevance. The students would like to belong to the classroom. It doesn't mean that they need to raise their hands up. It doesn't mean that they need to be active. It doesn't mean that they need to shout the important part of the lectures when the teacher is asking. We are very often talking about the quality, but the quality can have different meanings. We are very often talking about the challenges, but the challenges can have different meanings. We are very often talking about the equality of the study, but it again can have absolutely different meanings. But to not go only to the theoretical, philosophical aspects, me and my colleagues, we made a survey. We made a survey across the students and the teacher in the different countries. We asked them exactly the same questions. We asked them of how they see the education. And when we look at the results, it's not like that the one group is right, the second is wrong. No, they are both in the same place. Both the teachers and the students, they expect the same values. They're showing the same values as very important. The main difference is that the teachers are very often are talking about this the structure, about this designer's part of the education, when the education for the students is more like an experience. It's what they can get, not what the teacher are offering. Is that bridge between the intention and understanding. The students are very often looking for the bridge. Example, if the teacher is telling in the classroom, oh, it's easy to follow. But the student is feeling, no, it's not easy. I don't understand. What could be the next step? The student can start to think, maybe I'm not good enough to study this. The student is losing the confidence. The student is not anymore focusing on what we are talking about. The student is thinking about something different. And in that place, the teaching is start to be extremely, extremely, extremely difficult. Nowadays, in education, we are under the pressure. The universities are under the financial pressure, the ranking pressure. They are asked to be inclusive. They are asked to be innovative. They are asked to be too modern. They are asked to be the university of the 21st century. But the students are also under the pressure. The mental health, the cost of living crisis, the digital overload, the AI taking the junior jobs. We are all under the pressure. AI is very interesting here because before the AI shows up, the teacher was the person with the knowledge. Now the AI can generate the answer faster than the teacher can say the single sentence for that. The answer can be good, the answer can be bad, the answer can be clear, the answer can be terrible. And the role of the teacher is to teach the students, to show them the proper way of how to use the AI nowadays. Because AI can generate the answer, but AI will not see of what the silence in the classroom means. If this is the fearness, if this is the engagement, if this is just the boringness of the people inside there, or this is just the empty classroom that no one is following anymore. I'm not telling that we need to make the education easier. I'm not telling that the students are always right. I'm not telling that the teacher need to become like entertainers. And I'm definitely not telling that we need to lower our standards of the education. The one of the most important part of the education is the difficulties. But what is really important is to explain for what these difficulties is for. Because we need to create the obstacles which the students need to try to pass by. But we need to explain them. For what is it important? How to go through the problem and how to assess the importance of that specific problems. How to do this? I can give you just the 3 very simple suggestions. Make expectations visible. Do not assume that the students from the beginning knows of what to do. We need to show them the guidance. We just simply need to show them the criteria of how the assessment is going to be look like. We need to show them the first step and the next step of the every part of the work which they are doing on our courses. We need to show them the way. We need to show them the bridge. Make the feedback usable. Feedback is not good when it's written. Feedback is good when you can use it. Don't look at the numbers. Don't try to fulfill every single part of the Excel spreadsheet with it. Try to make the feedback which getting tailored, which is going to be tailored exactly into the expectation of the students. Help them to understand the feedback. Ask your students about the perception, not only satisfaction. Ask them for the feedback too, but don't ask the question that, oh, did you like my lecture? No, ask them, what was the most difficult part of the lecture? What was the easiest one? Ask them if they follow every single part of the lecture in the same way. Ask them what you can do better. Maybe not for them, maybe for the next year, but it's very important to always try to ask about the perception, not only about the satisfaction, because the education is not like a customer service. And the really important part is to always ask if in the education we are talking about the same thing. It's just simply trying to check if between the intention of teaching and understanding there is a gap or there is a bridge. Because even with the best intention, if you don't get the feedback from the audience, from your students, even with the best intention and the best chronological order of your lecture, people can be absolutely lost. Even if the lecture was absolutely fine last year, for the new group of students can be 100% misunderstandable. This is all for today. Thank you for your attention.